Salutations, everybody. We went ahead and talked about different games for a little bit, but now we're back talking about Microsoft and Bethesda, because I just can't let this topic rest, and I realized I haven't talked about the likelihood of a Fallout 3 or New Vegas remaster. Everything has changed with this Bethesda acquisition from Microsoft. Business-wise, strategy-wise, it's all out the window. Things have to change a little bit for how Bethesda approaches some of their IP, most notably Fallout, which is currently only being held down by the recurrent content of Fallout 76. Is there room for a Fallout 3 New Vegas remaster? Well, I've compiled a couple of bullet points. We're going over a lot of bullet points in this video here today. It's not definitive evidence that it's happening, but it's more so suggesting the likelihood of one based off Microsoft's actions, based off some of what Todd Howard said, looking around the industry a little bit, how things have changed, how Bethesda's changed, how things can change under Microsoft. A lot here to talk about, so let's start off by setting the stage with Todd Howard and his thoughts on remasters for his own games when he was talking about them during E3 2018 after Starfield as well as Elder Scrolls 6 were revealed to everybody.
Have you considered going back and remastering older games? I know there's a lot of Morrowind fans out there who will absolutely kill me if I don't say something about it.
We're actually more interested in working with platforms to have, Morrowind runs backwards compatible now.
Yeah.
So that's whereas I like remasters, I like the charm of the way it was.
Back then.
Personally, like when you watch an old movie.
Yeah.
And so I'm much more interested in how can we work with Microsoft, Sony, or PCs to make sure that game works well. That if you want to play it the way it was, you can install it and play it and all of that, as opposed to it's that same game, but it looks really, really different. That's just my own personal preference.
Okay.
Now, Todd does emphasize at the end of this little interview here that it is just his opinion, but we know Toddy's got a lot of, sway at Bethesda, so while it is just his opinion, he does have a lot of power in what sort of happens at Bethesda Game Studios, at least. And so that does go a long way. However, you can take one quick look at Skyrim and the amount of times it's been ported and it's been remastered for PS4 and Xbox One and go, ha, you're a liar. But it goes a little bit deeper than that, I think. Number one, when it came to Skyrim, this game was actually ported to next-gen consoles to see what Bethesda could exactly do with the new systems. And once it was ported, a lot of the work was done, so they decided, hey, let's touch this up a little bit and sell it, because it's Skyrim. It's literally free money. And as savvy of as a business move as that is, and I respect it because Skyrim is still to this day a very relevant game, Microsoft has now stepped in, and that's where the winds of change will really blow through here. Let's be honest, Microsoft likes remasters. We've seen it in their own products with companies they have acquired, and if you really want to put a little bit of speculation sauce in your veins, then you can take a look at, say, Larry Erb's profile picture on Twitter, Phil Spencer, the Vault Boy, gee, I wonder why. Microsoft has remastered, of course, Halo with the Master Chief Collection. They continue to release that now on Steam. It is one of their most relevant products. They've also released remasters for Age of Empires, the original Wasteland game when Wasteland 3 had released. They like to remaster their older titles and do multi-platform launches. We have to remember, why does this benefit Microsoft? They can say remaster Fallout 3 even if you go out and buy a PS4 copy, because Microsoft owns Bethesda and now owns Fallout. They collect cash even if you're buying it on a Switch. It doesn't matter. Microsoft's getting a piece of that pie no matter what. So it is, monetarily speaking, in some of their best interests to go ahead and remaster these games, because they would sell like hotcakes, get them out to as many consumers as possible, and you make some of your money back on that deal you just spent $7.5 billion on. Now, obviously, it's a future investment, right? Starfield, Elder Scrolls 6, Doom 3, Wolfenstein 3, whatever Arcane's working on after Deathloop. All these games will, I think, pay off for Microsoft in the long run, but they also need to make it up front too. And remasters are a quick way to do that. There's quick turnaround times. They're not as extensive when it comes to developments. We're talking remasters though, not remakes. I'm not sitting here pleading for Bethesda to go ahead, take Fallout 4's gunplay, its mechanics, and implement that all into Fallout 3 and New Vegas. Would I complain? No. Do I expect that? Definitely not. I would like, for example, the PC version of Fallout 3 outside of good old games for it to run properly, for it to not crash all the time, to not be modded to hell to actually work. That would be great, right? That's like a good first step, making it have a functioning version on all platforms. Of course, there's more like 64-bit versions, all that stuff that you can get into, the tech doohickeys that you guys know I'm getting better at, but I'm not going to sit here and act like a whiz. There are things underneath the hood that can be improved for both Fallout games. Mechanically speaking, I'd like to see some changes, but let's say you do change the gunplay in Fallout 3 and New Vegas. The skills reflect how your gunplay works in the games, so now you're changing the RPG systems a little bit. It cuts deeper and deeper and deeper. So that's why I don't expect something like that, but a remaster I think would be a good, quick turnaround product for Microsoft to make some of their money back on this acquisition with arguably the biggest IP next to Elder Scrolls that they acquired in this big deal. Now, I wonder if they're going to push for Skyrim Special Edition, say, on PS5, Series X, right? Because a lot of people will counter my points here with, Matty, Xbox has backwards compatibility, right? Like, you can play Fallout 3 on backwards compatibility. You can play New Vegas on backwards compatibility. And as someone who's been playing a lot of Lost Odyssey on backwards compatibility, I've been playing a little bit of Infinite Undiscovery. Like, the backwards compatibility for Xbox is awesome. I love it so much. I think it is so cool. I wish that PlayStation was really chasing down the backwards compatibility like Xbox was doing, because it's so nice to just say, I'm going to buy a 360 game and I can put it into my current system. I think at the end of the day, though, that even if you can run those older games, or like Todd said, preserve those older games as they are and getting them running on those older games, it doesn't change that, remasters are like printing money, okay? That is the reality of the situation, sadly. A lot of us are suckers. I'm a sucker. You're a sucker. We're all suckers here in this lovely remaster world. Number two is that there is room for improvement where, yes, a backwards compatible version is great, but then does, say, a PS4/5 user, which now Microsoft does have a vested interest in with some of its multi-platform releases, you know, you got to think of that as well, right? So their reach has become suddenly a lot more broad, and it's stuff really worth considering. The other thing worth considering is, I mentioned quick turnaround times. What happens if they were to try to release this in 2021? Starfield is pretty much, I'd say, I don't want to say a guarantee, but like, I strongly expect Starfield to be a 2021 title. Like, I would be very shocked if come summer 2021 we weren't all sitting at our computers speculating about the new teases Bethesda's putting out officially for Starfield. I imagine we'd be all over that by that point in time, if not earlier somehow. But obviously we know Bethesda is a creature of habit, and Microsoft has said they will plan on making Bethesda still act independently or semi-independently. And Bethesda always did a spring launch and a fall launch. That's how they've always functioned. They'd always have one game in the first quarter of the year, like a major game, say a Rage 2, and then later in the year, they'd have something else that would be their holiday window title. Now, 2019 was a bit different. Bethesda had like Wolfenstein Youngblood, and then they delayed Doom Eternal and Wastelanders out of their holiday windows for better products, and I think both of them showed the benefits of said delay. Point being, though, is if, say, Microsoft had the ability to push out a Fallout 3 and New Vegas remaster in the spring, that would benefit them more, because if you get deeper into the year, at least in 2021, I think it becomes less likely, because you don't want to have people choosing between a Fallout 3 remaster and Starfield, right? Like, that's something you'd probably want to have your consumer avoid, because now you're picking two products from the same company. You want to maximize that profit, so you want to go ahead and spread it out. You want to make sure that you can double dip the Bethesda Game Studios fans, such as myself and you guys, where, you know, I'm not trying to act like I'm all about the business end of things, but like, it would make good business sense for Microsoft to say, hey, why don't we go ahead and, you know, release this in early 2022 instead now, if they can't get it out by early 2021. We've seen companies like Activision sit on remasters for years, right? They've sat on the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2 campaign remaster for years, and the rumor is still that they're sitting on a Modern Warfare 3 remaster. That it's just chilling there, and they can keep that, by the way. Hot take, but they can absolutely hold the hell on to that remaster. I don't want it. I don't like that game. But yeah, based off Microsoft's actions with their older IP that they did become owners of, And then you look at Skyrim Special Edition. I imagine maybe Bethesda would try to do that same thing with next-gen technology. Would they take Skyrim or say Fallout 4 and port them over to the Series X or the PS5, see what those games can now do on those systems? I just think Skyrim is a very special game, right? Like, you can't, I think, make the argument that Fallout 4 should be resold on new systems. Skyrim was old enough where I think it kind of low-key worked, but something with Fallout 4, it's like, no, you just released this on the PS4 and Xbox One. You're not going to see this gigantic leap outside of some visuals on the Series X and PS5. Whereas if they were like, we're putting Oblivion on these suckers, oh man, that would be something else. So I just hope really that someone within Microsoft and Bethesda just wakes up one day and says, hey, I like money, dude. I like money, and you guys like money, right? Like, let's take Morrowind, Oblivion, Fallout 3, New Vegas. Let's take all of these wonderful games just sitting there and remaster them. Let's put thousands of dollars into these games and make millions. Like, someone hire me at this point. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, just a little discussion here on the Fallout 3 New Vegas remaster scenario. You guys know we revisit this topic multiple times on the channel. We have for years and years and years, and oh my god, the day it happens, because I believe it will happen. But anyway, with that, ladies and gentlemen, I pass it off to you. Looking forward to hearing your thoughts in the comments down below. Anything you have to add on to my discussion here, fire away. Other than that, follow me on Twitter, follow me on Instagram. Those links are in the description down below. Big thank you to all the patrons, all the members who continue to absolutely kill it with the support here. I appreciate each and every single one of you guys. You make a huge difference. You support me so much. You help out a lot. Love you all. I'll talk with you soon. Stay sexy. Stay active. I love you all. Peace.